Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday night Anamkara meditation program. And with all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Satsang, keeping the company of the truth, the company of the divine. Well, that's you. That's your essential nature. So to be able to gather together and celebrate that, experience that, go into that consciously, is such a rare privilege. So thank you for coming and bringing your commitment to practices and really deeply engaging and knowing your highest self and then being able to live that into the world. This is such a rare gift, so thank you. Now tonight is a Heart Sutra night, so we'll be chanting the Heart Sutra in a few minutes, but we'll be starting with the opening mantras. The opening mantras are a way of both invoking our highest nature through the power, the Shakti, the power of consciousness that is the form of mantra, takes the form of mantra to help the mind get free of all the things that it's been identified with and caught in. So mantra is a potent way of being able to open the doors to the boundless consciousness, the boundless awareness that's our true nature, so that we can come to rest in that. And in that place of resting, then be able to step back and we can see the mind, we can see its content, we can see it all, knowing it's not who we are. We get to know intimately, fully, the truth that we have a mind, but we're not the mind. We have thoughts, we're not those thoughts. So mantra is kind of the royal road to enter that state. So we'll start now with the opening mantras. Shri Mata Kali Devi Ki Jai Gajananam Bhuta Ganari Sevitam Kalpita Jambu Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasutam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Parapankajam Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamandaya Purnamevavanshishyate Om Shanti 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 Shri Mata Kali Devi Ki Jai. So once again, with all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. That stillness, that quiet spaciousness of simply being present. That's the spaciousness of awareness that opens in meditation, that opens when we get free of the mind, going beyond the mind. And free of the mind doesn't necessarily mean that the mind has become quiet. It's just that the infinitude of being, the fullness of being is added, and the mind just becomes this tiny speck lost in the sky of awareness. Just this insignificant little thing that doesn't dominate our experience, doesn't dominate our sense of being. So the practices are all aimed at that. And Buddha, when he was speaking and giving the teachings that became known as the Heart Sutra, the Bhagavati Maha Prajnaparamita Hrdaya Sutra. Bhagavati is the great goddess, and it refers to that divine presence that gives birth to Buddhas, that gives birth to that knowing, and that living awareness that we refer to as the great goddess or the great mother. Last week we chanted many of her names from all the different traditions around the world, and because she's known throughout the world and has been for thousands and thousands of years. So that's not new. What is new is here and there a new expression that we can then use to become aware of the source of that expression. So the source of Buddha's teaching, the source of all Buddhas, is this Maha Prajnaparamita, this great transcendent wisdom. And it's often experienced because it's absent mind as the great void. That's really, in a sense, the mind's view of that, because everything disappears, including the mind. But in that space of pure being, in that spaciousness of awareness, not only is there that place where we can view the mind, but we also then have the direct experience of that sublime one. The one. We can call her Ma, we can call her Bhagavati, we can call her Ma Kali, Tara Ma, any number of names and forms that she takes. But that even in that black void, even in the black bindu, the mind disappears. But the fragrance of her living presence, the throb of all-embracing love, pervades that space. Pervades that space with open arms, inviting us home to that truth, the truth of who we are. So the void is empty of the ordinary forms, but it's filled with the infinite one. It's filled with that boundless love, that boundless compassion, that boundless wisdom, the unshakable, steady equanimity. Entering that and then drenching this vehicle of mind and body in that truth, that's what gives us the strength to walk in this world, to bring that love and that compassion, to transform our vision so that we can see that sublime nature is the essence of all. So that in these dark times, we have the power, we have the buoyancy to be able to confront the shadow side of the ordinary mind of humanity and bring that light, the light of love, the light of compassion, the light of wisdom, the light of grace. You are an instrument of that. You walk that into the world, wherever you are. That's what these practices are about, empowering us to know, to come to rest in that, and then live that into the world. Transform the world. Just breath by breath, step by step, with all the humility and grace that is also part of that sublime one. So the practices help us to really unfold the truth of who we are and see the nature of the mind for what it is. One of the things that Buddha talked about was the self-cherishing nature of the mind. It cherishes itself. It's like the ego mind. And in fact, the mind, in part, is all its thoughts. So it likes to keep thinking. In part, that's what it was made for, was to think. So it has a hard time letting go of that. To let go of thinking, for it, is to let go of existence itself. So we have to move beyond that. And so, in this poem, cherishing yourself, you cherish your opinions. In fact, you have an opinion even about your opinions. But you don't stop there. You have an opinion about your opinion of opinions. How long before you realize you were chasing your tail? Where do you think the stench of the world comes from? Transcend the world? You're just a gas bag. Get gripped by the world? You're a dirt bag. See, the way is neither here nor there. Not one, not two. So give up thinking about it. Thought goes no farther than steam rising from your tea. Give up trying to meditate. Cease all movements to and fro. Your essence is the way. Look no further. A moment has yet to pass when you weren't all. It's coming home to that. To give up trying to meditate, that efforting is the mind. Oh, it wants to try. It wants to be a good student. But it's akin to trying to fall asleep. We let go into sleep. The mind can do certain things to set up, prepare to enter into meditation. But the actual entering, it's letting go. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go of all doing. Let go of all doing. And discover the living presence of boundless being. That's what the practices invite us to know. To let go into that. That meditation is letting go into the divine embrace. Letting go into the black velvet embrace of the divine. That loving embrace that removes all thought, memory, experience of pain and sorrow. Everything dissolves as if it had never been. For in that state, it never has been. We enter that. Entering meditation. Stepping back, letting go of this thought, that thought. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Till even letting go, we let go of. That stillness. There's the truth of who you are. Beyond the mind, beyond imagination, beyond practice. Practice takes us to the doorway, takes us to the portal. Right effort takes us to the portal, takes us to the doorway. Letting go is entering. Dissolving. So when we are doing the Heart Sutra, there we're entering into Buddha mind. We're entering into the consciousness that stepped back and looked and saw from that place of that deep Prajnaparamita, that transcendent wisdom that beyond all forms could step back and see the dance of forms, the dance of the mind, the dance of all perceptions, and realize, not this, not this, not this. You're not the eyes, you're not the ears, you're not the nose, you're not the mouth. It's what the theologian and priest Matthew Fox talked about as via negativa. It's a way of negating all the things that the ordinary mind identifies with, and so that you're just clearing that space. For what? To know what's beyond those forms. To know the pure spaciousness of being. To know that is then to know what Buddha talked about as the four immeasurables, or to know what the yogic tradition talks about as Satchit Ananda, pure consciousness of being, pure, rapturous, ecstatic consciousness that's true at all times and all places. That's the ground of our being. That's what holds it all. So to be able to move through life informed by that, it's like walking with this cascade of light, the light of the infinite. We become aware. That's what we walk in. And it's like in the ancient Kabbalah tradition, that Ein Od Milado, there is nothing that is not God. And God is this light. And so they'll talk about just varying densities of light, but always still light. Same in the Shakti traditions of Kashmir Shaivism. It's all Shakti, the power of consciousness, from its most subtle and expanded, formless infinitude to the most concrete forms we can imagine and even perceive. All that in varying forms of coalescence. To know that is to become radically free. That's what we're invited to know and live informed by that. Doesn't magically make the world okay and stop people from doing what we see them doing, but it gives us a different place from which to see that, a different place from which we're informed. And then our actions and reactions then reflect that higher wisdom, the source of which is our very being. So we need this desperately at this time. Suffering is so pervasive. And those who try to avoid suffering by accumulating and consuming more and more just then create more and more suffering for others. So we have to come home to the truth. Requires no consumption. It's quite radical. Very anti-capitalistic. Come to rest, free, a kind of a peace and contentment that goes beyond anything the mind can imagine. That's where the practices bring us to live in that, walk that into the world, embrace others, embrace the world with that wisdom and that knowing, that loving and that caring, that kindness and compassion. That's inexhaustible. That's the difference between when the mind, even when it's being good and trying to do good, it has a little cup of those qualities to draw on. And so it gets so depleted and so exhausted. Right? We have to know the boundlessness of who we are, so that boundlessness pours through. Then the little self, the ego mind, becomes just a beautiful, humble servant, knowing it's just It's just giving, ladle after ladle, ladles of love from the infinite ocean of your divine being. That's what you can do. So we do the practices so that we know the truth of that as ourself, so that it can flood the mind, the body, our actions, that loving presence. So when we look at the Heart Sutra, the Bhagavati Maha Prajnaparamita Hrdaya Sutra, it's this expression of Buddha's vision of being in that state, that deep, profound state, the mother of all Buddhas, the Maha Prajnaparamita, the deep state of transcendent wisdom. And then he can just see. And when he sees these things called the five skandhas, the five heaps that make up ordinary experience. And having stepped back from that and seeing them, he sees them as ephemeral. They're all just coming and going. Thoughts, moods, perceptions, everything that we think of as lasting is in fact ephemeral. So they're empty, meaning they're empty of any solid, eternal existence. They're all ephemeral. They're all empty, insubstantial, like the steam rising from your cup of tea and disappearing. Yet we get attached to that. We get attached to those ephemeral forms. So we have to overcome. That's the self-cherishing. That's the mind. What becomes attached? The mind becomes attached. It becomes attached to its own forms, its own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, concepts, all of that. It's all of that self-cherishing. So we let go and step back. And then from that spaciousness of being awareness, then we see with clarity. Then there's no obstacle to all that love arising and flowing through, the compassion. We see how all beings are caught in that illusion of self, illusion of ephemeral forms. We look with compassion, with love, with kindness, with patience. So we'll be chanting the Heart Sutra, and we do this typically every month, and so those who have done it before will remember we chant it aloud 3 times through. And the chanting is, in a sense, also a contemplation, because we're both reading it, thinking about it, and so, in a sense, really bathing the mind in this higher wisdom. This was Buddha's attempt to take what's beyond words and try to put it into words so that it would serve as a vehicle for people to come to that state themselves. There's still words. There's still the finger pointing at the moon. But we can follow that finger. So we follow that. We follow the truth that's encoded in the words. And then it ends with the great mantra of the Heart Sutra, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha, gone, gone, gone beyond, completely beyond. Hail the goer, the Bodhisattva, the enlightened one. So mote it be, Swaha. So we'll, after 3 rounds of going through it, we'll then chant that along with a drum, and then just sit in that spaciousness of simply being. Letting go. Letting go. If the mind moves, it doesn't matter. You just look at it. Just the 5 skandhas doing their 5 skandha things. We don't have to take it seriously. The mind takes itself seriously. That's part of self-cherishing. Right? So when we start to look at the many ways the mind cherishes itself, its own attachment, involvement with its own thoughts is part of that. But awareness is always free, always present, always undisturbed, unmoved by movements of the mind. That is the state of meditation. That's why we let go into that state. That's not a thing the mind does. That's the state of consciousness. Boundlessly illuminating all movements and dances of forms. Illuminating the spaciousness of pure being that is also boundless love, boundless compassion, boundless wisdom, boundless equanimity. The poor mind has to have 4 different words for that. They aren't 4 different things that somehow get melded. They're one thing. The mind is limited, can only perceive a quality at a time. That's its limitation. Enter that state. Then you know the fullness of it. Beyond words, beyond the mind, beyond everything. That's why it's gone, gone, gone beyond. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. That's you. You are beyond. Let go of the mind. You'll discover your Buddha nature is already fully present, fully unfolded, fully realized. This isn't a self-development. There are things the mind and body can do to help be a good servant to that, or conduit for that. But that state already exists in its fullness. So here we'll begin. We begin this. We'll go through 3 times. Then we'll do the gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha with the drum. And then we'll sit in that stillness. So we begin. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, coursing through deep Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no realm of sight to no realm of thought, no ignorance and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering, no annihilation, no path, no wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live Prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live Prajnaparamita, and thus attain Anuttara Samyak Sambuddhi. Therefore know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, coursing through deep Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no realm of sight to no realm of thought, no ignorance and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering and also no source of suffering, no annihilation, no path, no wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live Prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live Prajnaparamita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambuddhi. Therefore know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra, set forth this mantra and say, Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, coursing through deep Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live Prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live Prajnaparamita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambuddhi. Therefore know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Gate Gate Parangate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha. Gate Gate Paragate 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 Parasangate Bodhi Swaha. So coursing through the Prajnaparamita, you clearly see the 5 skandhas are simply what arises in the light of awareness, thoughts and feelings, memories, sensations, objects of the world, the limited consciousness of the little I of the mind, in that vast, infinite, spacious expanse of luminous awareness. Shift your awareness, your identity, to that. The awareness of I am that. Rest in that. Know that. know yourself to be free. gate gate param gate parasangate bodhisvaha 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 gan 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gone 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gate gate param gate parasangate bodhisvaha 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 gate param gate parasangate bodhisvaha gate gate param gate parasangate bodhisvaha gone 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gone 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gate gate param gate parasangate bodhisvaha 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 gone 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gone 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 beyond fully beyond hell the goer gate gate para gate parasangate bodhisvaha 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 gate gate para gate parasangate bodhi swaha. Gate gate parangate parasangate bodhi swaha. We end with this prayer. May all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Gone, gone, gone beyond. Fully beyond. Hail the goer. You. Hail you. Yes. Going beyond. The hero's journey. We go beyond in order to come back and bring the treasures to everyone, to walk them into the world, to illuminate your life step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment, work, relationships, everything. Bring that boundlessness of your full nature, the boundless love, the boundless compassion, the boundless wisdom, the boundless equanimity. That's what Buddha was pointing towards. That was the way he walked and walked into the world, so that others may have the way, along with the other ways that exist. He walked that way in. In fact, in the early days of, after Buddha passed, he wasn't celebrated by statues. It was very interesting. In the early days after Buddha took Mahasamadhi, the emblem was footsteps. So there were carvings of just footsteps, following his footsteps in this world. So true hope, the divine scent of wisdom's blossoms, beckons you to follow the way, your sure path beyond all suffering. True hope, the footprint of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, still warm from their passing, infuses your step with enthusiasm and certainty. Dash ahead right now. Go from I can be free to I am free. From we all can be free to we all are free. Em-ah-ho. So mote it be. So Sangha is one of the three jewels that Buddha talked about. One of the three legs of a stool that one can stand on, steady and firm. So we gather in Sangha, in satsang, in the company of the truth, your highest nature. So thank you for coming and bringing the fullness of who you are to this moment, to this evening, for bringing the commitment of your practices. At a time when the world doesn't necessarily recognize them as important or value them. We live in a material world, puts material values on things. Can't be fooled by that. The boundless heart, the value is incalculable. Your boundless wisdom, your boundless love, your boundless compassion. These are our wealth beyond measure. The meditation is, we just rest in that, in the fullness of that being. And then let that illumine the mind and body as they serve all others, till all are free. Imaho. So once again, with all my heart, with all my love, thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for the many ways you support Anamkara and what we offer through sharing the videos and e-newsletter, for donations, for coming, and for walking into the world, the truth of who you are. Thank you. With all my love, all my heart, I look forward to seeing you next week.